start-finish line again.
Well, good evening everyone and welcome to the Talk Creek Racing Summer Super Cup from mid-Ohio. Will Vincent along with the owner and extraordinaire of TFR today, Toby Bushnell. How you doing?
Hello, I'm on the grid. How you doing?
I'm not too bad. So to run through the grid very quickly, we are currently waiting for the pace car to bring the field around for the pace lap. We'll get to that in a minute. But Farouk Ransar yet again is on pole position in the number 58 machine. We're Tapani Leniato in the second position. Jack Sedgwick, a good qualifying performance for him in third, with Arthur Kirk-Poulsen in fourth. Jurfai in the fifth spot with Terry Dalberg in sixth. David Ward in seventh. Stephen Van Helsing in 8th, Dave Guyman 9th, Istvan Balau in 10th, Jan Metcane in 11th, and Chrissy Nielsen in 12th. And then over to the 4 GTs, Eric Verdorf will line up in first with Russell Clayton alongside him in second, Toby Bushnell in third, Robert Lowry in fourth, Roderick Cronin in fifth, Ray Otani in sixth, William Pino in seventh, and Robert Burton bringing up the rear of the field. Now very quickly, Toby, before you go to the race, explain to us how the start is going to work here, because we're following traditional GT rules for this start.
Correct, so we'll be starting on the back straight. We're going to pull away from the grid, switch lanes because pole position is currently on the left and we want that on the right. But we'll be starting the race actually on the back straight once we've completed our normal pace lap.
So that will move Farouk Ransar to the right-hand side of the racetrack, Tapani Leniento into the left-hand side, but then from then on in the grids will stay as they are, odds on the left, evens on the right.
Simples.
There we are. And you're currently sat in third in the GT2s. You've got a couple of your competition people missing this week. So how do you think you're going to do?
Hoping I can stick with it and get on the podium, really. It's going to be fairly tough. I don't think the cars in front of me are going to slow down for me in the race.
Well, good luck to you in the race in that number 31 Talk Creek Racing machine, and very best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
So we're going to be going for 90 minutes here today at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. This beautiful 2.25 mile long 13 corner racetrack. You see them just coming through the keyhole now. And this is the backstretch where the race will be started. After they've gone around the track once, they'll come around the first part of the lap again. And we'll start the race right down here on the back straightaway. So the first corner will be that long right hand kink where they build the speed up. And then they'll come down into the horribly difficult Essex section. And Yoni Backman joining us as well here today. And Yoni, this is a difficult section of the racetrack to come into for turns 1 and 2 to start the race.
Yeah, usually people know these corners as 4, 5, and 6. And yeah, with these GT cars, this complex is pretty damn tricky because the track seems to be, especially right here, coming over the hilltop. The track seems to be just disappearing from underneath the tires, and very, very easy to get the car into four-wheel slides, and that takes quite a bit of practice to get comfortable in order to survive 90 minutes in here.
So yeah, they've just gone through China Beach, through the S's. Now they'll make that turn through turn number 9 into the famous Thunder Valley, down underneath the Westwood Insurance Bridge into turn number 10. And then turn 12 is our favourite corner in the world, isn't it? The carousel.
Yep. And don't forget, we saw quite a bit of drama here in the first lap of the Touring Car Championships in the TFR Cup, that is. Right here, as where the leaders are coming right now, the top 3 guys took each other out of the race in lap 1. And as the pace car pulls up, we're not going green this time by. So we're going to get the green flag and the green lights, but the formation still remains the same.
Yeah, so we have our honorary starter, which is me, starting the race. So we'll be doing that on the back straight away. The cars are coming through turn number 1, double file yet again. This is going to annoy their spotter, which is saying, you're too wide, you're on the right hand side, but it will be fine. And very quick point to note, David Ward, number 69 machine, he is doing treble duty today, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware. Indy 500 finished about an hour ago. The World 600, which will be on Glacier TV in a few hours' time, David Ward's doing all 3 of them. So that will be interesting to see how his stamina carries on for this race. Finally, Aniota will be on the left-hand side. Farouk Mantar, your leader, on the right-hand side as they come through the keyhole. Round 4 even of the Talk Freak Racing Summer SuperCup is green.
As we see traditional start, this is the optimum place to start. We got 2 cars on the grass already coming into the first corner, but like I said, this is a wide part of the track and not a steep left-hander waiting for you, not a blind corner waiting for you. Excellent spot to start the race, and it seems to be fairly clean so far.
Yeah, a couple of drivers were still in the keyhole. As you see David Warner, he's looking down the inside of Tyrone Elberg as they come through the China features into the S's, and it looks like David Warner's in a hurry earlier on. And he still thinks it's the last couple of laps for the Indy 500. As you see, they're getting a little bit sideways. Further back into Van Ballow, and that number 19 machine's got a great view of that battle. But in the Corvette class, they're pretty much single file now. Back in the GT class, you have Eric Vadoff as your race leader, Russell Clayton in second, Roderick Conan in third, Robert Lowry in fourth, and Toby Bushnell has had incidents early on in this race, going off through the exit of the S's.
Yeah, especially in the first lap with the sports cars, this track seems to take its victims in every single race series. When we're not talking about aerodynamic cars like Star Mazdas or Indy cars, this for some reason as the drivers get into rhythm and the field starts to spread a little bit, everyone's just seem to find the rhythm to carry on and starting to lap fast lap times one after another, but every time the first 2 laps seems to be like don't know if that's a little bit of extra tension because of the fact that you're dealing with a lot of traffic and close by battles around the tight corners, but that's it. Always seems to be the case.
So yeah, Farouk Manzar, he is your race leader in the GT1 class, with Arthur Coulson moving up into the second position. Tuano Laniota, we know how fast he is. He is currently sat in the third position, as he is putting a lot of pressure on Arthur Coulson at the moment. In that number 12 machine with Stephen Van Helsingen in fourth, UFI in fifth, Toad Helberg in seventh, still being under pressure a little bit from David Ward, with Dave Guyman right behind him in that Team Shark number 23 machine. This one Mallow in ninth, Christian Wilson running out. Your top 10, as we've already completed 2 laps or a few minutes of this 19-minute race here, and Farouk Manzar has already pulled himself out a 3-second gap to Arthur Coulson. Manzar really has been some of the class in the field in this season.
Yeah, Paulson clearly is keeping Tapani behind him so far. Tapani always seems to fail the starts miserably. I mean, I personally beat him in the Watkins Glen race 3 times, not just in the TFR Cup, but also 2 separate official series races. I beat him in the start both times, and he seems to be like a slow starter, but that doesn't count much when you have the race pace.
Yeah, and he is really doing a good job in that number 58 Alpine Stars car. Distinctive livery in there, and I think that livery has really brought him some good fortune this season. Arthur Coulson, he's doing a good job currently sat in second position, holding off Tuano Laniota for the moment. And because the track is so difficult, you've got to really line up your path a couple of corners beforehand and use that momentum. You can't just try and do a dive bomb down the inside, because there's so many twisty sections of the racetrack that, you know, to set a pass up, your best point to do so is to really do it through turn number 1.
Yeah, there are a couple of this track is surprisingly simple to overtake, but I mean, the overtake maneuver itself is easy, but setting it up is not that easy. I mean, if you're coming through a keyhole right now, as Tapani is actually looking at the inside line of Arthur Paulson here. He's got to take it, yeah, easily, unless he goes wide. Nope, keeps it tight. But like I was saying, usually if you want to set up a proper pass around this racetrack, you need to get like a turn 4 is one of the best opportunities to overtake around here, and you need to set it up so that you fake an overtaking maneuver, make the car in front of you take wrong or different entry into the keyhole, make him fail the exit, and then get a good launch out of it. I mean, you have to set it up like 1 to 3 corners in advance before you're actually gonna go for the overtaking. Otherwise, you're simply run out of road.
Steven Van Helsingen, he's currently sat in the 4th position, under pressure still from Giro 5 in the number 9 car. Those 3 cars of Van Helsingen, Helsingen, Giro 5, Terra Dauda, they're very close on the racetrack, with David Ward dropping back to about 4 car lengths behind at the moment, as we're currently working on lap 4 here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course. And you see there already the lapping begins. Eric Verdorf being overtaken by Christian Nielsen there. Christian Nielsen is trying to make his way through the field. I take that back. Nielsen in the number 3 machine having a difficult start to this racetrack. You see that car coming down pit lane. That is Esteban Palau in the number 19 machine.
Yeah, I wonder what he has a problem, or did he get into contact, or what was the cause of it? I mean, early pit stop or something. Maybe he just forgot to take the race fuel.
He had an off on lap 3 by the look of it. Apart from that, his race has been going so far, so maybe he might be right. He might have not taken enough fuel to start this race, and that is really going to hurt Esteban Palau, who we know is one of the greatest chargers on iRacing at the moment. I have seen him so many times, being it in these cars, be it in the Afterburn IndyCar, so he's charging his way through the field. It almost as if he likes him in the back foot. So Palau has come down pit lane. This is going to really put him behind. Farouk Manzar in the meanwhile, coming down from the valley, down past that Westwood Insurance Bridge, into turn number 10 and 11, then into the carousel, that long 180-degree right-hander for turn number 12. Then that looks so simple, but it's not. It's a difficult flick there, turn 13, back onto the front straightaway. Farouk Manzar is your leader, and the gap between himself and Tapana Leniotu is up now to 4 seconds.
Yeah, actually, Tapani is nailing 3 to 4 tenths faster lap times than Farouk Manzar is, right? As he got by Arthur Poulsen. Tapani's last lap was 2 tenths faster, and now he got a 118 flat, whereas Farouk Manzar got a 118.337 in fact, so almost 4 tenths a lap.
Yeah, so that number 7 Glacier racing car of Tapani Leniotu is on the move. And it really has been a good charger so far in his debut season into the TalkBeat Racing SuperCup. I have to say though that further back there are some great battles going on. Dave Geimer and David Ward in the number 69 machine, they're having a great battle on the racetrack for essentially 7th position in the GT1 class. And then looking back to the GT2s, Eric Verdorf and Russell Clayton are separated by less than 1 second. And there's a pretty interesting battle going on between William Pioneer and Toby Bushnell, who's trying to make his way back through the field. Toby Bushnell, in fact, is getting very close as they come out of the keyhole, trying to see if he can make a move now down into the China Beach, turn number 4 and 5. And it looks as though William Pioneer was going to give him the room, but then decided second best of it.
Yeah, Toby keeping a far better pace at the moment than the next 4 or 5 cars in front of him. 2 to 3 seconds a lap faster goes Toby, and no problems there for Toby. And now the next one in his list is going to be Robert Burton, and 5.1 seconds in front of him. So that's going to be a couple of laps of work.
So yeah, Robert Burton currently sat in 15th overall in that 05 Team Sharp machine. Of course, we're going to do things by classes, so he's currently sat in the 5th position in that 05 car, doing a good job at the moment. About 6 seconds behind 4th place of Renault Tani in the number 83 machine. But Roderick Cronin, he really is doing pretty well at the moment. He's currently in the 99 machine, sat in the 3rd position. He's fallen to about 10 seconds behind the race leader. But when you consider it's Eric Verdorf and Russell Clayton, you're 1-2 at the moment. That is no mean feat.
Currently watching Tapani actually has almost caught Farouk Manzar here. Gap is down to less than 1 second now as they come to the final corner complex. This is going to get very interesting.
Yeah, coming through the carousel, and this is such a difficult corner because you want to put the power down, but you can't. And then you've got to get the car straightened up on the exit to make sure you get a good run into turn 13, the final corner. Pani Leniotu is doing a good job in that number 7 machine, coming down again into turn number 1. I think that he's going to have to really start putting the pressure on because he's in that dirty air zone now. And we've seen that Tapani often gets stuck behind drivers once he gets into that dirty air period. And a track like this, where it is so difficult to overtake, you'd want to try and catch him and clear him as quickly as possible, as he wants to get himself another strong finish here in the in the Talk Creek Racing Summer Super Cup. We had to talk about a couple of drivers who have retired from the race. Jack Cedric had a moment on lap number 1 that put him out of the race, and Robert Lowry had connection issues that forced his day to end rather early. But I'll tell you what, Tapano, Leniotti, Farouk Manzar, they have driven away now by almost 6 seconds over Arthur Kirk-Colston, who has still got himself about a 1.5 second gap to Steven Van Helsingen, who's currently sat in the 4th position. Jurify has faded for the moment. He is a further 2 seconds back from the rear of the number 46 machine of Van Helsingen, who actually has got Terry Delberg all over his rear spoiler in that number 13 CST machine.
Yeah, Dahlberg is looking really racy and just wondering where he's going to set up a pass. Not going to do it in the last complex unless somebody makes a mistake in front of him. But if he gets a good launch out of here, coming to the what normally is the main straightaway, unlike in the start of today's race, even though the race is going to be finished on this straightaway. If you get a good launch out of here right now, he can set up a pass into the keyhole, or then fake a pass and then go to the get a good launch out of him and then dive into turn 4.
Yeah, Jurify got a little bit of a wiggle. As you see there, he's going wide. This is going to allow.
And David Ward goes off track behind them, heavily into the tires.
So David Ward, after having a difficult day earlier, losing the win, that moving him down to third position in the Indy 500 rookie top split, he is off into the grass, and that is really going to compromise his day here.
Dahlberg is looking very, very strong under coming out of the corners, but doesn't seem to be taking too many risks, at least at this stage of the race. He had a good run on it, good run on Juha, but for some reason, just in the last second, he just decided not to hit the brakes hard and just took a cautious route. And well, oh, is it cool? Oh! that's a classic place to lose it right there, adding to the last corner. But I've had my moments around that corner as well. Not the funniest place you want to lose a car.
Yeah, Tyre Delberg there. That has dropped him back a couple of attempts, but that means he'll be able to close that down very quickly. And maybe he can use that to his advantage in some ways to try and just build a head of steam and get some momentum through this next lap to try and do what he did the previous lap and go down the inside of the keyhole. I talked about how GFI had that moment in turn number 1, just a bit of a wiggle coming onto the throttle. Looks like his car's a little bit unstable as he puts the power down. So that is an advantage that Tyre Delberg can use to his advantage in the number 13 machine. Meanwhile, out front, Tapano Leniotti has faded back to 3.7 seconds behind the race leader, Farouk Manzar. So Leniotti, on that previous lap, had a moment coming into the China Beach where he literally had to go all the way over the gravel trap through turn number 4 and literally bouncing his way back onto the racetrack on the exit of turn 5. He was very lucky there that there's no other cars behind him. But Farouk Manzar still out front. Last time by, he did a 1 minute 18.767. Keep an eye to see what Tapani Leniotti does as he comes across the line this time by. Farouk Manzar completing lap number 10. We are about 15 minutes into round number 4 of the Talk Creek Racing Summer Super Cup here on Glacier TV. Will Vincent, Yoni Backman in the booth. I will apologise for any mistakes I make today. I was sat in a 500-mile race earlier on, and you were laughing heavily at me, Yoni.
Not really. Was listening the whole race closely, but I didn't have any laughs about it. Other than when I was watching the some of the other splits.
Yeah, tied over though. He has re-caught up GFI in that battle for the 5th position. And they've got a couple of lap traffic, I believe, ahead of him. They have got... Sorry, that's even Van Helsingen, sorry, ahead of him. Looks like they are catching him just a little bit here and there. Last time I see Van Helsingen, 1 minute 19.859. GFI, 1 minute 19.396. A half a second taken out of that gap there in the battle for what is now becoming 4th, 5th and 6th on the racetrack. Dave Geimer has managed to get himself around David Ward during that on-track incident. Dave Geimer is really closing that gap to Tyre Delberg. So we're going to have ourselves about a 5-car battle on the racetrack if David Ward can get back into contention with Helsingen, GFI, Tyre Delberg, Dave Geimer and possibly that number 69 car.
Yeah, and as you said a while ago, when Tero dropped a few tenths from behind you, what you said that he can use that to build extra momentum, and that's actually sometimes very useful. As you stick behind someone, you tend to like get yourself sort of a numb feeling that you forget to set up the passes. You just basically cruise around following the other guy, waiting for him to make a mistake. When in fact you would have a realistic chance of going past the other guy. But now, as he dropped a little bit back, he had a full second to catch, and it is possible that you are able to regroup yourself and just find the extra pace, and then once you catch the guy in front of you again, it's slightly easier to set up the pass.
Yeah, and currently these drivers really struggling to find those overtaking opportunities. You see, Tyler Delberg can get very close to the rear of GFI, but then just once he gets into that dirty air, very difficult for him to make that pass on the racetrack. Just having a look back through the GT2 field, Eric Vadoff still is your race leader. The gap between himself and Russell Clayton is still less than 2 seconds on the racetrack. Vadoff's last lap was a 1 minute 21.578. Russell Clayton was about 2/10 of a lap slower, but it looks as though Clayton is very good in this middle section of the racetrack. He's just losing out a little bit on the faster sweeping corners. Roger Croonan is currently sat in the 3rd position, Brendan Tanney in 4th, Cooper Bushnell in 5th, and then Robert Burton, William Pioneer, and then your single retirement in GT2s is Robert Lowry.
Yeah, you have to remember that even though these guys are lapping within 1 or 2/10 of a second from each other, Eric Vadoff and Russell Clayton on the screen here, right here, this track is pretty, I would say top 3 of the trickiest of the season to drive with either of these cars, but especially with the Ford GT, with the fact that for some reason the car seems to be pushing a lot. It doesn't matter how you set up the car, but it does seem to give you a little bit of push coming into the corners, but almost over half of the turns around the Mid-Ohio racetrack with the Ford GT tends to give huge slide to the rear tires as you go out of the corner, and that doesn't have to be a dramatic error in order to lose easily like over a second per lap, especially with the turns 4, 5, and 6. If you just miss the braking spot slightly, go too wide into the next corner, lose the entry line into the following corner, all of a sudden you find yourself in all sorts of trouble.
So we are about almost 20 minutes into this race now for Root Manzar. He seems to be pulling away even further from Pino Lenio, so perhaps he just pushed his tyres a little bit too much, trying to charge down that number 58 machine of Farouk Manzar. Arthur Kirk-Poulsen is still, however, a good 6 seconds behind Pino Lenio in the number 7 machine, and then that great battle on the racetrack. Stephen Van Helsingen in 4th, Joe Fight in 5th, Terry Delberg in 6th, Dave Geimer in 6th, and David Ward, let's see whether he's catching this back. Last time by he did 1 minute 19.501.
Geimer is now right into Tero.
Yeah, Dave Geimer did a 1 minute 19.818 last time by. As he tried to do the double sweep there, didn't work. Just lost himself a bit of momentum in doing so, but great on the brakes there by that Team Shark machine.
Yeah, that corner is, even though it's very, like it sort of begs you to go deep into the brakes because the corner is not that tight, and you carry a lot of speed into the corner. But there is a nasty bump right as you at the point where both, I believe, Corvette and GT both hit the brakes at approximately 400-yard marker. There's a pretty nasty bump at the inside line. If you happen to step on the brakes right at that bump, it tends to give you like a 2 to 4 wheels lockup, and if you do that, then you're lucky if you just manage to avoid the sand traps following that corner.
Dave Geimer really is trying to put that pressure on, but it seems to be the story of this race so far. One driver can get right up to the rear of the car ahead, and then they get into that dirty air, and then they just cannot make the move stick. And I think with these 4 drivers separated each by about 4 to 5 tenths on the racetrack, they are all in that dirty air, and it's at that point where no one can really gain anything, and it's going to take a mistake from one of the drivers in this train for them to gain all these positions. Having a quick look back, and currently riding in the 9th position, Jan Kane in the number 34 Glacier Racing machine. Slightly disappointing performance so far from Max Kayan. We've seen him do very well in this series before, but having a little bit of trouble getting the car to turn by the look of it. quite a bit of understeer into the entry middle of the corner, and then a little bit loose on exit for that number 34 car. But he's still got himself a 10-second cushion over Christian Nielsen, who's recovering in that 10th position. And obviously we've got Esteban Ballard, who is sat 5 laps down. But Topani Laniotto seems to be catching a little bit again. Last time by, Laniotto did himself a 1 at 19.106, Manzar at 19.632. Topani's got 2 of the GT2 drivers ahead of him. You've got Toby Bushnell, who's just overtaken Rano Taney for position, which will be the battle for the 4th position in the GT2 class. But Laniotto just diving down to the inside. He's managed to pass Taney, and now he should be able to get Bushnell down into the China Bend. Easily done there by Laniotto, just getting the job done beautifully there. But the gap between himself and Farouk Manzar kind of static. And Yoni, do you think that Topani just pushed those tyres too hard too early?
Might be. With the new tire model, if you just burn the tires way too early in the race, you have to take 1, 2 or 3 laps of not so hard pushing in order to cool the tires a little bit. In some of the tracks, the cooling of the tires is almost impossible. So the best you can do is just go from super slidey tires to not so slidey tires. But if you burn them enough, the chances are high that you will never recover from that unless you make a pit stop. But Tapani seems to be catching the pace pretty good. Well, this time he had the 2 GTs to deal with, so 1 second defeat against Farouk Manzar that time around. But will be interesting to see. They both have a clear track this time around, so what's the gap gonna be next time as they cross the start and finish line?
Yeah, Tapani did get a little bit held up through the keyhole that previous lap by the GT2 drivers, and that is something that we haven't talked about yet. Traffic on this racetrack is potential to be a big issue for these drivers. It really is where the luck factor does come in sometimes. I mean, yes, the gap between the drivers are only 3 seconds at points, but that opens another issue, that because that gap is so small and the track is so short, what it does mean is once you get yourself behind a couple of GT2 drivers, you haven't really got yourself too many opportunities to make a pass, and you can be sat behind them for a good half a lap to a full lap.
Yeah, that's very true, especially if the GTs are in the middle of a battle of their own. You can easily spend over a lap, or maybe 2 laps behind the GTs, because the only good place around this racetrack to clearly get the upper hand on the GTs is the straightaway coming into the keyhole and the following straight going into turn 4. But yeah, outside of that, if you just go into the corner complex and there's a fighting GT pair ahead of you, that's not something that Corvette drivers wish to see in this race, but that's pretty much inevitable.
Having a look through a bit of the field, that battle, Helsingham coming up to put a lap on Rano Taney. He has got Drew Pye right behind him, and this is that opportunity where some of these drivers can try and make a pass with 4th position. As you see that, in some ways, Van Helsing was very lucky to get past Taney when he did. Drew Pye looking to try and do so now into China Bend. He's not going to be close enough. As you see there, he just moves all the way to the right hand side of the racetrack. Very courteous there by that GT2 number 83 machine of Rano Taney, just letting all those cars just sweep by. Dave Geimer might be able to squeeze through as they come through Thunder Valley in a moment's time. It looks like he's not going to get himself held up too much, but this GT2 traffic could really start throwing some curveballs into that GT1 battle. David Ward has caught up a little bit as he goes off track a little bit, coming down through Thunder Valley into turn number 10 and 11. But it looks like himself and Geimer have had to drop back by about half a second as David Ward gets a little bit sideways there. And it looks like we could have that 5-car battle again.
Yeah, the GT1 seems to be having a good brawl, and it will be fun to see within 30 minutes how this is gonna progress. Since as the GT2 traffic is far more severe around here than, for example, in Suzuka or any other racetrack in the season, the pit stops may be playing a big factor here, because if they carry enough fuel when they hit a GT2 field or a GT2 battle in front of them, even though they might be, let's say, planning okay, I'm gonna pit like on 60-minute marker, I'm gonna take myself a half an hour of fuel. But if they're facing a heavy traffic ahead of them, some people might actually benefit several seconds from just jumping into the pits to avoid that GT field and just maybe gather 1 or 2 spots in the process.
Yeah, and what was a 5-car battle could at some point become a 6-car battle. As Kurt Paulson is slightly falling back into the clutches of Van Helsingen. So that 42 machine is no slouch on the racetrack, although he's got severe pressure from 4 drivers behind him. Out front, the gap between Farouk Manzar in the 58 machine is and Pioneer L in the number 7 car is now up to 5.2 seconds. So Farouk Manzar is continuing to put that hammer down in the number 58 Alpine Stars machine. So far, a faultless drive from Farouk Manzar.
Yeah, last week used to seeing from Farouk that once he gets a clear track ahead of him, he is able to nail very fast lap times very consistently, doesn't make too many mistakes, and especially with the dealing with the slower traffic, Farouk has proven to be forced to be reckoned with dealing with the traffic, and so far he seems to have a small upper hand over Tapani, and but just as I said, that Tapani's last lap was again 2.5 tenths faster than Farouk's. Let's see if before the GT gets involved in here, and well, he already did, but let's wait and see what the updated interval is going to be.
And looking back to the GT2 field, Eric Verdorf has now been able to put himself out a 5-second gap between himself and Russell Clayson in the number 22 machine. Toby Bushnell, as we talked about earlier, he's back up into 4th, but his next victim will be Roderick Cronin, who's no slouch. You see there, off the racetrack, that is Terry Dalberg coming through into the carousel. I'm not sure whether there is any... No, there wasn't. I just think he went wide, trying to get himself around Toby Bushnell, keeps it out of the tyre barriers, but we talked about mistakes when lapping cars. Terry Dalberg was the first victim.
Yeah, let's see if we can have a quick view on the replay here, what went on there.
Pani Laniota, meanwhile, he closed that gap, as you said last time, about 1 minute 18.661 to Farouk Manzar's 1 minute 19.125. After Kurt Paulson, we talked about him just a minute ago, he did a 1 minute 19.992. Van Helsingen is catching him at a rate of 10 per second a lap, but this time he's got Roderick Cronin, who's currently sat in 3rd position in the GT2s, holding that field up a little bit there. He swipes across him. Cronin not giving any room there as they come down now through front of... Oh, they almost touched there. Van Helsingen, as he came past, just swept across him. It was literally inches between those two drivers as he did so. I'm having a look back, and literally, you couldn't put a cigarette packet between those two drivers as they went past, and Van Helsingen there really had to get himself a hurry up. But now, as you see, Drew Fight is coming through. Dave Geimer, he is a little bit too far back to be able to do so right now.
Yeah, I was just in the middle of watching the replay as the action was going on, and as we saw in the replay right there, Dahlberg simply went to overtake Toby Bushnell there, and simply just took a slightly too wide entry into the last corner, the carousel. What a surprise! And simply just slightly too much speed, and the problem with the last corner is you almost always have to be on the brakes while you're turning the car, and that combination is not very pleasant when you have an overspeed going into the corner, especially in the outside line. So once you clip the grass slightly, no way to turn the car, just having to slow you down to the maximum to avoid the tires and try to make a safe return to the track. But a couple of spots lost for Tero Dahlberg. Now he's gonna have his work cut off for him.
Yeah, that drops them all the way back to the 8th position behind David Ward, who we saw had that incident earlier on. So it is now Van Helsingen, Pied, Geimer, David Ward, Dahlberg in that battle. Dahlberg currently sat about 3 seconds behind the last of that 4-car chain. Have a look at Dave Geimer. He's doing his sterling job out there at the moment. He is falling back to about 1.4 seconds behind GFI. I think that's a lot to do with the lap traffic at the moment, as we're in that difficult part of the race. But this GT1 field really is doing a very strong job here today.
Yeah, it sure is, and like I said, in the pit strategies could start coming into play as we're just about over a 30-minute marker in this race, and 45 minutes is the midway point. Even though these cars are able to run almost a full hour with a full tank of fuel, if somebody took a full tank, they do have quite a bit of options how to set up that pit stop strategy in order to maximize the gains in the pits.
Yeah, I'm having a look at Russell Clayson. He's going to be the next driver to be put our lap down by Farouk Manzar. Farouk Manzar in the GT1, Russell Clayson in the GT2 machine. Clayson doing a good job, though. He's 6 seconds behind Eric Verdoff, who we haven't talked about, but really, he's just driven away from this GT2 field here today. Talked about how Toby Bushnell wanted to get himself a podium. Eric Verdoff qualified on pole, stormed into the sunset here at Mid-Ohio, and he is flying his last lap in 1 minute 21.762. Pretty much all of his laps have been within, I'm having a look, they've all been in the 1 minute 21s with the exception of one lap, and they've all been within about half a second.
Yeah, there seems to be you have a handful of drivers who are very comfortable around Mid-Ohio. Lots of drivers dislike this racetrack, especially with the non-aero cars, since the track provides such amount of challenges and tricky corners. Lots of people seem to dislike the racetrack, but those who do like it, and those who have managed to find a good rhythm for the racetrack, they seem to be not only being able to nail a one lap time, but seem to be able to pretty steadily nail one fast lap time after another.
So at 1/3 distance here, round 4 of the Talk Freak Racing Summer Super Cup on Glacier TV. Will Vincent, Yoni Batman, your commentators, Rob Sutherland, for those of you who are wondering where he is doing something stupid. I don't know what he's doing, to be fair. To run through your field momentarily, Farouk Manzar, he is your race leader. The gap between himself and Tapani Laniotto in the GT1s is now 7.5 seconds. Arthur Kirk Poulsen is 21 seconds behind the race leader. And then you've got a great battle on the racetrack between Stephen Van Helsingen, Monsieur Thai, Dave Guyman, David Ward, and also Terry Dalberg. That is 4th all the way through to the 8th position. Yannick Kane in 9th, Christian Nielsen in 10th, and then Esteban Barrow is currently sat 5 laps down in the number 19 machine. And then in the GT2s, Eric Verdoff, Russell Clayson, Toby Bushnell, Roderick Cronin, Renaud Tanay, Ronnie Pioneer, and Robert Burton are your field, with Robert Lowry being classified as out.
Yeah, so far 2 cars out of the equation. One of them being Jack Sedgwick, who in fact, as if I'm not mistaken, he didn't even grid. So
no, he didn't even start.
So 1 DNF. But I have to say, within 34 minutes around this racetrack, only 1 DNF. That's a pretty respectable accomplishment.
Oh yeah, not considering. Even though this place has some very wide runoff areas, once you get off onto that grass, into that gravel, you're generally only heading in one direction, and that is of the tyre barriers, all those huge concrete barriers that line the racetrack. So you have to be very, very careful here, and it's technical, and as you were saying earlier, it's that rhythm thing. Getting yourself into a rhythm, lap after lap after lap, and for the GT1s, the challenge is being able to do that while navigating through the GT2s, flick it around, and it's for the GT2 drivers, it's being able to find the right places to let the GT1
we have a Corvette off in the keyhole. Corvette went off.
Having a look back, and it looks as though it might be Van Helsingen. But yes, it is Van Helsingen. From after running in the 4th position for most of this race, he just went off, just started spinning on him, and he just slid off the racetrack. Didn't get it into the wall. But lucky there for Steven Van Helsingen.
Having a look back at what happened over there. Right now. Let's get an IndyCar view.
He just started sliding those tyres, and in some ways the gravel just stopped that spin, because otherwise he would have ended up in the wall. So lucky it stayed there from the number 42 machine of Steven Van Helsingen.
Yeah, he just obviously went way too deep into the brakes. and that is pretty deceiving corner. You have the comfort zone of being able to hit the brakes late, because if you don't hit the brakes late, you're gonna have to like cruise your way alongside the inside curbing, which is actually quite slow way around that corner. So you have to be willing to just throw your car into that corner. But Steven obviously just missed his brake marker a bit and just went too heavily into the corner. And once you go heavily in there, the front end does turn in, but the rear end does not seem to approve.
Yeah, so in that battle so far, we've had Van Helsing making a mistake, Ward making a mistake, Dalberg making a mistake. Don't think Guymon's made one though. He's just riding it out for the most part. But by my logic, that means that GFI is the next one he's going to have to go off the racetrack in that battle. But a really good, strong race going on. 4th all the way through to 8th. Very closely separated on the racetrack. Their lap times pretty much all within half a second of each other. And for the GT2 drivers, that is going to add some extra frustration, because you're literally just going to have to pull to one side at certain points of the racetrack to let that storm of Corvettes go past you.
Yeah, that's one easy place to lose a race. And like, if you don't play your cards right, it doesn't matter if you're a Corvette trying to lap a GT or the other way around. If you're not comfortable with dealing with the traffic, Mid-Ohio is not the place for you, especially with these cars. I mean, you can use the traffic, whether it's fast traffic or slow traffic. You can use that for your advantage, but you really have to like have a pre-thought plan in your head what to do when the cars catch you, and when to let them pass, when not to let them pass. So. Like we say a couple of times, we have had a peek in the live stream. If you didn't focus on the closest cars on the cameras, there was a couple of incidents where the Corvettes came to lap the GTs, and the GTs actually afterwards had insane problems of trying to just fight themselves through the corners, and might actually have cost some of the GTs position in the process.
Yeah, William Pioneer, for example, has managed to get himself around Robert Burton's 05 machine. So Pioneer's having a good showing at the moment. Sat 5th position in class. As well as Cronin and Burton having difficult days in the GT2 field. I have to say that it's a pretty small field here today. What of all the racing going on, and you know, club racing throughout the UK, Europe, everything. It is a smaller field than we're used to, but some great battles to make up for that.
Indeed, and like we said last week when there was the Suzuka race, we saw a smallish field, mainly because of the fact that there was the Champions League final and all sorts of other stuff happening. Almost every series in that day seemed to be dead, unlike we used to see in the weekends. And today seems to be the same case, but because of the Indy 500 plus the upcoming Coke 600.
Yeah, and a quick congratulations to Young O for winning the 3rd annual iRacing Indianapolis 500 after coming 2nd last year. Young taking the twin checkers to move up from being the bridesmaid to the bride in that race. Tim Dole came home 2nd with Ryan Norton rounding out your podium. Here, however, Fruit Manzar's race leader, Panamani Otone's in 2nd, and after Cole Pelton in 3rd in the GT1s, Egg Verdoff in 1st in the GT2s, with Russell Clayton in 2nd and Toby Bushnell in 3rd.
And other than Dave Geimer, Davey Ward battle for 8th position, the field seems to be spreading quite a bit. And other than the battle on the TV right now, there doesn't seem to be even battling duos within 1 second of each other. So let's enjoy this battle as long as it lasts. But we're closing in.
Oh! David Ward spinning it into the barriers, front and rear. That is going to be a heartbreak for David Ward. He just made his first pit stop of the day, trying to get himself ahead of some of that GT2 lapping. He's having to wait now for drivers to all go past him so he can do that 180-degree spin, which he's trying to do, and there he does that. He spins that number 69 car around. Doesn't look like he's got substantial damage, but he did hit the car first on the rear, then on the front, and he's going to have a very horribly handling race car for the rest of this race.
Yeah, even though it might not look on the outside, but if he is pulling into the pits, something obviously went wrong with this car. You don't have to have a visible damage, but all it takes is a slight nudge to the wall when your tires are turned sideways, and you clip the wall, and what it does, it just ruins your camber settings, and the casters and the tires are just pointing at the totally wrong different direction, and that can totally invisible damage might cause the meatball flag and the day's work over.
Yes, for Farouk Manzar, he is still your race leader, the gap now up to 13.7 seconds over to Pino Laniotto. You're completely right there. You know, if the race control at Mid-Ohio decide that, you know, that car is likely to have substantial damage, then they will give it the what we affectionately call it a meatball flag, the black flag with the orange dot in the middle. Sorry, we say that because it looks like a big meatball. As you see, Farouk Manzar putting a lap there on, I believe, William Pioneer. It's difficult for these drivers. You know, they spend so long practicing throughout the week. They only get one shot at the race, and for it to end like that, it's always difficult for these drivers. A bit of food for them to swallow.
Yeah, indeed it is, and even though everyone recognizes the risks and the chances of hazard when they join the sessions in Mid-Ohio, and it's pretty devastating to drive successfully over 40 minutes around the racetrack, and just one slightest error and happens to be in a spot where it's unrecoverable. And I mean, there's not that much a safety area around here, and even if you go to the grass, and there seems to be a lot of space, but the grass behaves like an ice, so around here. So the tire barrier seems to be approaching pretty fast. In fact, too fast. Once you get into that road.
So David Ward, just to give him an update on him in that number 69 pink machine, back onto the racetrack. He's got himself some fresh tyres and a little bit of damage repair, but he has currently scored one lap down. His nearest competitor will now be Christian Nielsen in the number 3 machine, currently having a quick look at Pino Laniotto in the number 7 Glacier Racing car, sat in the 2nd position.
Actually, sixth. Just pitted.
So yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, I take that back. He has pitted, so he's made his first pit stop and an only pit stop of the day from the 2nd position. And I think this clear track might help him because he is a little bit further back behind all of this GT2 lapping that's been going on, and it looks like he's got himself a bit of a clear racetrack as David Ward there, almost losing it again as they come through the China Beach. And yes, if he can get himself around David Ward, he's got pretty much a clear track ahead of him for the next few laps.
Yeah, indeed, he could try to play this into his pocket, but Farouk did manage to pull up, was it like 9 seconds before that pit stop, so closing that between like a 4 or 5 laps before Farouk makes his pit stop is going to be difficult, but yeah, like we talked about already, that traffic is going to play a factor in here, and once the traffic, all it takes is one bit of traffic to just cause you that extra problem, and you all of a sudden you see yourself losing 1 to 2 seconds a lap, if not even going off track, which is going to cost you even more. So a lot of things can happen with not even with a personal mistake.
Yeah, so we're about halfway now through the race here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, the 2.25 mile 13 corner. As you see there, David Ward's engine blows. Great movement there to just get himself off the racing surface, literally drove himself into the gravel. If you look back, just when he did it, you saw the engine blow up as he broke into the corner and just swerved to the left. He knew Tapani's right behind him, pulled off the racetrack. But David Ward's day has gone from bad to worse as he is now out of the race.
Yeah, that's one routine that I personally use around this racetrack as well. There are a few corners where I tend to use a small gear just to hit the limiter way high, and in the risk of right in the limit of blowing up the engine, just because of the fact that it stabilizes the car so good during the tight corners.
Farouk Manzar comes out of pit lane right into traffic, and that is going to be a little bit difficult for him as he's got Toby Bushnell ahead of him. And then just up the racetrack, you'll have Russell Clayton and Arthur Olsen. Meanwhile, David, that was the quickest run up to the commentary booth I've ever heard in my life. What happened there?
Engine blew, so yeah, just downshifted a little bit too quickly. Yeah, it's just making it be one of them weekends, I think. Unfortunately, I didn't get to finish the race.
Fatigue a little bit? You know, you raced 500 miles earlier today.
Yeah, 500 miles at a reasonably slow pace. Yeah, just a little bit tired, but we've got the 600 to go after this, so yeah, we'll get a good result, I think.
You going to stay here for a bit?
Yeah, I'll come and chat with you guys. Yeah, we can watch the rest of the race.
Woohoo! Arthur Kirk-Poulsen is currently your race leader because of the fact that Fruit Manzar has made his pit stop. So the number 12 Scandinavia car of Kirk-Poulsen is leading the race by about 3.7 seconds. We're watching the battle for the 5th position between, I think that is Jurfai and Steven Van Helsingen. Between those two drivers, less than 2 seconds on the racetrack. So to work it out for you, on the sequence of pit stops, the gap between Fruit Manzar and Tapana Laniota, that is one that we need to pay close attention to, is now up to 12 seconds. And Fruit Manzar really is being the class of the field here today. There's Kirk-Poulsen getting held up a little bit there by...
And Geimer now has a run on Jarno. Sorry to interrupt. Geimer now has a serious shot on Jarno coming into the keyhole.
He looks close. Not... Dave Geimer's never been the latest of the late breakers, but if you can try and do the crossover, which he is, diving down to that inside, if he can get a good drive off the corner, he can try and do the slipstream down. And see there, you saw Jarno just saying, go past me, go past me. You saw him just flick the brakes on. Dave Geimer gets himself past Jarno Metake in that.
Yeah, Jarno was struggling before we went on the air. Jarno was complaining constantly about the setup being just too loose for his pace and not getting any rhythm for the car, despite no matter what he changed. And yeah, obviously he's not comfortable with the car and doesn't want to ruin everyone else's race.
Yeah, Dave Geimer's the one to watch out for because he's done a very early pit stop, so he's going to try and leapfrog these guys up in front.
And if you talk about drivers having a bad day, Roderick Cronin there, just as he was about to be lapped by Matikayan and Geimer, just doing a hard spin, managing to collect it, but also close to being collected by these two drivers. Roderick Cronin, who's currently scored 10 laps down in the number 99 car. It's a good job that you can't intentionally bring out a caution at this track. Arthur Poulsen, however, is your race leader with Fruit Manzar in second, Dalberg in third, Laniota in fourth, Dave Geimer in the 5th position. And I kind of agree with you, David Ward. I think that Geimer really could use this to his advantage.
Yeah, he's gonna. I think he was running the same strategy as me. We were getting a little bit held up at the beginning, so I decided to pit at the same time as he did, and yeah, my strategy was to leapfrog everyone because I didn't qualify very well, and I think Geimer is going to be on a charge for this.
Yeah, and that battle between Dalberg, Geimer, Jurfai and Van Helsingen is the one that we really need to look at, see how that shapes up through the sequence of pit stops.
Tiro's in the pits now, and we've also got, yeah, Tiro's in the pits, so this is going to give Geimer a chance.
And Kirk-Poulsen as well, so relinquishing the lead back to Fruit Manzar from in at number 12 machine. Having a look at both of these drivers, Kirk-Poulsen should get out first.
Here's Geimer coming onto the straight, yeah, there he goes, he's got him.
Easily done. And he gets him ahead of Arthur Kirk-Poulsen as well.
Excellent, that was exactly my strategy as well, but fair play, he's making it work.
So Ty Dalberg loses himself a position there to Dave Geimer, as does Arthur Kirk-Poulsen. That will put number 23 Team Charlotte Machine up into the 3rd position. That Team Charlotte Machine is having a great season in the GT1s.
Yeah, Dave Geimer's a very consistent driver. Might not be the fastest guy out there, but consistency is key in endurance racing.
So we'll let the field settle down a little bit more. Eric Verdoff is still your race leader in the GT2 class with Russell Clayton in second, Toby Bushnell in third, He's managed to get himself up past and around Tani. Tani is currently sat in the 4th position with Pineston in 5th, but Burton in 6th. And retirement so far, we have Robert Lowry, who is classified as out of the race. Jack Stedwich never even made a start. He didn't start, he just parked. And then we have some guy called David Ward as well.
Yeah, Steve. He looked like he was struggling all day.
Jarno is meanwhile being hunted down by yet another predator.
Yeah, and that is your fight in the number 9. You see that? I don't think Matty has stopped yet. So he might do just what he did with Timer earlier on. To say, go past me, and you see that taking a wide entry into the keyhole. As he comes out, he might just pull to the left-hand side again, do what he did earlier. Oh! He gets himself loose on exit there. And that gives Pye the position easily. But Matikayan is struggling here today in that number 34 machine as he's got now Van Helsingen to put the pass on him. Coming down the track, until they touch just a little bit. And this is Van Helsingen off the racetrack. That is going to just give him a bit of contact there, and that's going to be interesting to see whether Van Helsingen can get back onto the racetrack. I'm not sure whether or not Matikayan even saw him there, because he just looked as though he moved to the left and thought there wasn't going to be a driver there, when indeed there was.
Yeah, you only need the slightest bit of contact in the braking zone, and you're going to kind of lock up, and that's what he's done there. I need to have a look at the replay on that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about, the small bump that is in the brake zone. Once you get in there and to adjust the brakes, the car just bounces a little bit, and if you don't have it set up right to be steady, and well, if you have a loose setup and you're not comfortable with it, that's a danger zone right there.
I'm sure that Chief Steward Katie Scott might end up having a look at that incident. But do you really think Matikayan was to blame? Was that just, just not paying too much attention?
Well, if you have to find the blame, then I would say, yeah, Jarno is to blame. But I would personally call that a Nim crossing, racing incident.
Yeah, that is definitely an NC incident right there.
Yeah. And let's not forget, we've still got the World 600 to come in a couple of hours' time in relation to that. Is going to be an interesting race. 400 laps on at Motor Speedway, and everyone loves our commentating on the NASCAR side. Epic! So, Route Massage, your race leader. Stefano Ladiotto in 2nd, Dave Geimer in 3rd, Giuffai in 4th. Matikayan is in the 5th position. As I said, I'm not sure whether Matikayan has pitted yet. Having a quick look back at his lap time to see whether... No, he hasn't. So we expect him, he's got to come down in the next kind of like 10 minutes or so, surely, because he's getting close to running on fumes.
Yeah, you are. Has Farouk and Tapinea pitted yet?
Yep.
Yes.
Jarno is the only one with Russell Gleason in the GT2. The only 2 guys that without a pit stop.
Oh, okay. Right, so that's pretty much... Geimer just needs to pound out the laps now, because I don't think he's going to catch the front runners.
No, Laniotto is pretty much guaranteed 2nd position unless he throws it off the racetrack, but catching Farouk Manzar is going to be a tough battle in itself. And that distance as well, even though you can see the gaps coming down by 7 tenths here, maybe half a second there, I think, with the way the traffic works, Farouk's always going to be the first car to have to go through it, so he's going to be able to get the niceties before they start getting bored of being lapped every 2 minutes. Yeah,
but getting the GT2 guys, some of them you know what they're going to do, others they're a little bit random.
A couple of GT2 drivers are missing once again this week. John Malley obviously is still on a bit of a vacation. We are missing a very big name in Kimmo Surman. The Glacier Racing guy is not here today. We've got a couple of others as well, and even though I say it's a small field, this is giving a couple of opportunities for people like Eric Vadoff in that number 94 machine. Russell Clayton is currently your race leader, but as he's going a little bit wide there, he's staying out yet again though. Vadoff, Clayton, Bushnell, they really got a chance to get some good points here.
Yeah, just to mention on that Kimmo Suominen incident, the reason he's not with us today, and in fact the rest of the season is the fact that he got a summer job, and unfortunately it's a weekend summer job, so he can attend the Touring Car Championship, but the rest of the Summer Cup is over for Kimmo Suominen, so it seems.
So that's going to give one of the other GT2 drivers a chance at the title. Do you think John Malyer's going to clinch it?
Tough to say. Nick Prestige is gonna, as we by the way, we see Stephen Van Helsingen in this in a live picture going wide there, out of turn 4. I would say that Malya is gonna be the main challenger for Nick Prestige, but if Nick Prestige is gonna drive a full season, I can see since Kimmel retired from the series, I can't see anyone stopping that guy. I mean, those two have been the dominant forces of the GTs in several seasons now.
And I have to say, the team aspect of this series really has taken off in the last couple of seasons with the Radical Steel Series drivers, the Torque Racing guys, Pink and Brown, Team Shark, Glacier Racing. You know, these teams really add an extra a layer of competition into this, because not only you're fighting for the individual championship, you kind of got a responsibility to get a good finish, because you and your teammates want to switch that Team Crown. And it's going to be interesting to see how some of these battles shape up, because Dave Guyman's done a strong job this season in that Team Shark machine, carrying the torch there. His brother Simon isn't here today, unfortunately. But the teams are Torque Racing, Glacier Racing, the Radical drivers, they're all pretty close on paper, and each one has their week.
And Jarno is again being hunted down by Arthur Paulson this time around, and I think it's just a matter of time when Arthur just picks Jarno there and moves up into fifth spot.
Dave Guymer seems to be dropping back a little bit and getting caught by Jan.
Yeah, Huapai in the number 9 machine is catching him ever so slightly. And let's not forget as well, you've got the Kirk Paulson-Ratikayan battle at the moment. Kirk Paulson really is going to try and get this done as quickly as possible, so he doesn't lose too much time in that dirty air behind Matikayan in that number 9 machine. But surely, at some point now, Matikayan is going to have to come down pit lane.
Yeah, it's got to be that time soon.
It's that time when you're going to have to nip off, get yourself some fuel, get yourself some tyres, have a cup of tea and some biscuits, or vodka, I don't know. No stereotypes intended, honest. Looking back to the GT2 field momentarily, Vadorf, he is still your race leader. Russell Clayson is sat in second position. I want to have a look at Toby Bushnell though, because on the racetrack, he is only about 15 seconds behind Russell Clayson. And the lap times between these two drivers, simply put, Bushnell is a lot faster at times. Bushnell's last lap was 1 minute 22.9, that before 1 minute 22.5. And then if you look back to Russell Clayson, he had a bit of an off that last lap, the lap before, a little bit faster, but consistency doesn't seem to be as good for Clayton at the moment.
No, I think maybe it's when he's getting lapped by the GT ones, they're just pushing him out a little wide and just disturbing his line a little bit.
And as a GT1 driver yourself, David, how much, trying to find the right way of saying this, how much attention do you pay to the GT2 drivers when you come to lap them? Yeah, I mean, the easiest way is to just dive down the inside and push into one corner. But how much respect do you have for the GT2 drivers, especially racing them week after week?
Yeah, it all depends on the situation, really. Sometimes if you're in a battle, you can lose so much time getting caught behind a GT2 driver. So sometimes you can be a little bit over aggressive going into a corner, and you know you do make the mistakes of like diving down the inside when you shouldn't. But you know, the GT2 drivers are pretty good. A lot of them seem to make it a little bit easier when you're coming up to lap them. Others, on the other hand, yeah, they're quite difficult to get by.
Yeah, and to take that back, Russell Clayton has come down into pit lane, and I believe he has got Stefano Laniotto right behind him now in that Glacier Racing number 7 machine. The gap between himself and Frank Manzar is now up to 18.8 seconds, give or take a couple of thousandths. Russell Clayton moving to the right hand side, Stefano Laniotto going around on the left. And we see that just the sheer brute of that Corvette engine coming down into the China bends. staggering.
I think on that bit, I think Russell let him go, just gave him a little lift and said, yeah, there you go, you have the corner.
Because the last thing you want is a GT1 driver honking his horn, if they had one, and just, trying to dive down the inside of every single corner through this twisty section. In fact, sometimes it's faster to just move out of the way and follow right in behind them.
Yeah, I mean, the GT2 drivers, if you've got a Corvette right behind you, it's quite distracting. Some of them don't mind that, others will just let you go, especially through that twisty section. The Corvette is so much quicker than the GT40, and the GT1 guys are like, that's if anyone's going to make a move, it's before the twisty section.
Last time by, Russell Clayton did a 1 minute 21.820. Meanwhile, Toby Bush in a 1 minute 22.323, so he's actually dropping back a little bit. Once again, Eric Vadoff, he is still your race leader. His last lap, 1 minute 21.763. So Clayton is still losing that kind, couple of attempts here, couple of attempts there. In the GT1s, however, no one better still than Fruit Manzar.
And Jarno still has not pitted.
He's coming up behind Johan Pye and Geimer now, so
yeah, and that's interesting for Matt Kane, taking a very different method of approaching this race to all those other drivers.
Seems to be paying off for him.
Yeah, but he still has to make that pit stop. There's no way you're gonna get it. No matter how much you save fuel, there's no way you're gonna get 90 minutes with one tank. So, looking at the lap times, he might have. He will drop back into 8th position, I think, after the pit stop, depending on how fast it's gonna be.
And doesn't there become a point as well that after it's almost not as worth it not taking the standard pit stop time, because you've still got to take tyres when you pit stop no matter what if you want to have a decent race car for the end of the race?
Not necessarily 4 tires. I mean, there are several races where you can survive, can actually be faster, as we see Arno right there pulling into the pits. There are several tracks where changing only the rear side tires is actually beneficial, because it takes just the equal amount of time for you to take the enough required splash of fuel. So there are a few tracks, but I don't think Mid-Ohio is one of them.
Fruit Manzar, that gap is now almost up to 20 seconds as they come across the line. Point to note, Dave Geimer is falling back still into the clutches of GFI, but Ty Dalberg has faded, so even if Dave Geimer does end up getting past one at the Milan machine, he's still going to get himself a easy, nice top 5 finish.
As Jarno finally makes that pit stop, but so does Arthur Poulsen makes another pit stop. He's the only running GT who has now made 2 pit stops. So Jarno Matikainen gets up back 1 spot, and it's now up into 7th.
And Kurt Poulsen is out.
Oh,
so
yeah,
having a look back to see what happened. Having a look to see if anything in particular happened to him there, but... Oh, sorry, he did. He hit the wall through the China bend. Just coming through turn number 4, just losing it, getting it loose, and right, wham, into that tyre barrier. Managed to drag it back onto the racetrack, but he did from then on in have some pretty severe right side bodywork damage, and that's what cost him his race. So, to run through your running order with less than half an hour left to go now, Fruit Manzar is still your race leader over to Pani Laniotto. In 3rd position is Dave Geimer, 4th GFI, Ty Dalberg in 5th, in Ryan Housing in 6th, Jarno Matikainen in 7th. Kurt Poulsen just talked about is out of the race, which will give 8th position to Chrissy Nilsson. And then Esteban Ballard scored 8 laps down, which will be in 9th eventually, with Kurt Poulsen probably coming home in 10th. And then in the GT2 class, Red Off is your race leader, Clayton in 2nd, Bushnell 3rd, and Tanny in 4th, William Pino in 5th, Robert Burden in 6th, and Roderick Cronin and Robert Lowry.
Seems to be, as we're getting set into the last third of the race, it seems to be a pretty lonely ride into the sunset for the top 3 runners of the GT1s, and so equally for the GT2s.
Yeah, it's that point in the race where all of a sudden everything calms down. Those pit stops kind of, spread the field out enough so that you kind of almost know where you are. And unless you're somewhere in position like Dave Geimer and GFI, it's almost a case of just hitting your numbers, hitting your marks, and getting that second phase of the race done into the history books. As I'm having a look at Fruit Manzar, tell you what we will do, we'll go on board of him as he completes lap number 48. He's coming down into the last, almost getting it wide there, but not. It's coming under the Westfield Insurance Bridge. What we'll do, we'll go on board of him as he completes his lap for a lap or so. We're looking on board of him now as he comes through into turn number 11, 12, into the carousel. Sorry, he's not into the carousel. He's down the back straightaway. I'm sorry about that. So you see now coming down into the China Bends, turn number 4 and 5, and this is the point where this is the tricky section of the racetrack. Through the S's, then flicking it to the right hand side there. We'll get good drive off this corner, down underneath the Honda Bridge, up that hill, let it rest as you go down, clipping that red and white curve, as it then come down through turn number 9, down Thunder Valley into the Westwood Insurance Bridge. And then David Ward, that 10, 11, 12 complex is so fast, but really, really difficult.
Yeah, it's a difficult section to go through. You've got to get your line just right, going, just being offline like through there is a pretty scary moment.
And you really do have 3 distinct sections to this racetrack. Sector 1, stop-start. Sector 2, very twisty technical, and then Sector 3 is a lot more fast, a lot more sweeping, but still very technical. And how do you set up a race car to kind of work through the entire track?
Well, you need to make sure that the car's quite soft overall, because the undulations on the track, you don't want the car too stiff, because especially when you're going over the crest and the car becomes quite light. You don't want the car stiff at the top of that crest, as the wheels will start spinning up. And then also having a soft setup allows you to kind of ride the curbs a little bit as well. Another thing with the Corvette is spending a lot of time understanding how the clutch and the ramp differential work. That's where a lot of the time is gained.
And these drivers, diff is one of those black art subjects, and it really is almost kind of trial and error to figure out what works best for you, because every driver really does have their, preferred settings almost, and it does also vary from track to track.
Oh yeah, completely. You've got one diff setting for Farouk would be fantastic, and then he'd be banging out some real fast pace. I'd drive the same setup and I could be nowhere. The diff is definitely down to driver style and how you want to put power down onto the ground, and how you want the car to turn in, and how the diff works when you're downshifting and braking.
But I just keep on looking back to Fruit Manzar and that number 58 Alpine Stars machine, and he really has control as a driver in this Top Gear Racing Supercup. Last season we saw glimpses of his brilliance. I remember Road Atlanta really does, stick in my mind.
Yeah, it does here as well.
But I mean, really, while Peterson isn't about this season, Oliver Brown is taking a bit of time off. We need someone to step up to the plate, and Fruit Manzar has just done that. Really been in the dominant drive of the GT1. To see him coming up to put a lap on the number 42 machine of Van Helsingen as they come down. This is always a difficult place to try and make a pass. He's not going to try and do the sweep down into the carousel, thankfully. In fact, no, he's trying to. Almost there. He's going to have to wait until the keyhole, though, surely.
Yeah, he has to wait for that.
But he's your race leader. We've got ourselves 20 minutes left to go here. But, I mean, there has been different types of tracks, that drivers historically have been better or worse on. I remember that you had a great race at Daytona last season until you decided to make friends of that pit wall. It's alright, you can shout at me later for reminding you of that. But for someone like Farouk, you really have been able to nail different types of racetrack, because you've gone from Watkins Glen to Road America to Suzuka to this, 4 completely different types of racetrack, and while they have similar elements, you all really, really different types of circuit.
Yeah, he's as a driver. I remember watching Farouk and racing with him in the last season, and he had. I think he was struggling, and then finally got his head around the car and how to drive it, and now he's just he's in a league of his own. He's out there pushing it, and he's getting noticed for it, which is great. That's what he needs. It's just a shame, really, that no one's actually able to challenge him, so we can watch some good battles for the races.
And I mean, what I have to say as well is that he really just has been so consistent as well. We've seen very few mistakes from him this season, which has been a credit to his driving. And looking back through the field as well, we talked about Dave Guyman. I mean, we'll flick over to him momentarily, because he sat in that battle for the 3rd position with Jura Pai behind him. And, again, Dave Guyman doing a strong job for that Team Shark machine. And he's not the driver who we see making blistering moves down the inside of anyone, but he's managed to think his way into that podium position.
Yeah, Dave Guyman's just played the numbers, really. He's came in with the early pit stop, and now he's just like pounding out the laps. As I said before, he's just so consistent with his times, and to be able to just like leapfrog people on the pits, fantastic, because then you don't have to battle them on the track.
So we are still got ourselves, say, just under 20 minutes of this race left to go. You're watching round 4 of the Talking Racing Summer Super Cup here on Glacier TV. Will Vincent, Yoni Batman's taking a quick nap, so we've replaced him with David Ward in the booth. And it has been a great day of motorsports already. We talked about it earlier, the iRacing Indianapolis 500, the 3rd annual iRacing Indianapolis 500, which I believe had over 800 drivers racing. What is always one of the most exciting races of the season. Congratulations to everyone who partook in that race and got strong finishes. David Ward, he came home with a 3rd.
Yeah, that was didn't get my fuel number right. Led 174 laps of the race, and then when it came to the last 10, I was kind of praying for a caution, but it never came. So that's racing.
Could be worse, you could have loaded the wrong setup in, which made your car snap loose every corner. Yeah. And then later on, as we talked about earlier, the World 600, 400 laps, 600 miles of Charlotte Motor Speedway, that will be coming to you on Glacier TV throughout the night UK time. It is one of the, it is in fact the longest World Tour event in history, 600 miles. So this will really put those NASCAR drivers to the test, and we will be seeing some of the best stock car racers, simulated stock car racers in the world. People like Ray Fana, Richard Towler, DWC drivers all the way up and down the field, and that's going to be some crazy racing there. We look forward to that. Back here, however, tell you what, Jura 5 is still sticking there with Dave Guymer, but it looks like he's, I don't know, I think that up traffic could play to his disadvantage.
Yeah, and he needs to get a little bit closer to Guymer, because Dave's really good through picking his way through the traffic. Oh, he might be okay. I might get him on the. Yeah, he'll do him on the straight on here, on the start and finish straight.
And I think that, yeah, you're right. He needs to.
Wow, I just tagged him on the front end. Russell really didn't give too much room there for him. He knew it was coming.
He just he knew he was there. He left the car lane open, but then he kind of like dropped that down to half a car lane. You really can't run that curve on the inside of turn number 1. Bounces into the air, and you have no idea where you're going to land half the time.
It's like a young a long yellow sausage. In fact, it reminds me, those curbs are like the curbs that at Knock Hill, where they've got the big long sausages. That's what that curb's like.
Yeah, and you know Knock Hill all too well.
Yeah, it's we go in there. We're running on June the 10th. So if anyone's up in Scotland who's listening, come up and say hi. We'll be racing the Black Mini in the front-wheel drive series.
You're plugging yourself. Why is it a Black Mini, not a Pink Mini?
Because I can't afford to have its brake.
Of course. You just don't. You just pretend you're manly in person and you come home. Let's get back to the racing, shall we, momentarily?
Yes.
Farouk Mansar, he is your race leader in the GT1 class. In the GT2 class, your race leader, as it pretty much has been all race long, is Eric Vadoff. Eric Vadoff comfortably ahead of Russell Clayton. I'm not sure how much damage he has to that race car. Last time by, he did a 1 minute 24.97, but that was when he was involved in being lapped. And I think that he's not quite getting close enough to really have any threat put upon him by Toby Bushnell, resisting by Bala. He's currently sat down in pit lane there, losing my train of thought. And Tarek Dalberg is now sat behind Russell Clayton. He's almost pushing him all the way to the outside of the racetrack. And now Dalberg having to sweep all the way down to the inside. Drag race as they come down into the kink turn number 3. Down into China Beach, and Dalberg manages to get his way through. Because Dalberg is currently riding in the 5th position.
Yeah, he's just seems to have had a quiet race, hasn't he? He's just been turning over laps, and as people drop out, he's picked up a few places.
Yeah, we saw that into that moment earlier on for that number 16 CST Ajara car. But he's done a good recovery, getting himself into the 5th position. Last car on the lead lap, and he's going to have to be happy with that one in that number 13.
Yeah, I'll be over the moon with a result like this. Yeah, and we've got Dave Geimer being chased down by Ewan Pye. I don't know if he's going to get him. How much time have we got left?
Not a lot. That's less than 15 minutes.
Right,
Yeah, about 12 minutes.
Okay, so yeah, he's got time to catch him. Catching's one thing, passing is the other, as they always say.
I'll tell you what, they say the most famous words in motorsport to start your engines. I think the second most famous words in motorsport are catching's one thing, passing's another.
It's true though.
I'll tell you what, next week when we move over to Spa-Francorchamps, that's going to be one crazy race, because some drivers love it, some drivers hate it, but there is not one thing at Spa that you cannot ask for a race.
Yeah, it's got everything there. I actually, when we were there last, I finished second behind Peterson, chasing. I actually don't like that track. I still don't like it, but I came away with a good result. But yeah, if we can get up front again, happy days. But with the way Farouk and all the other guys have picked up their pace, it's going to be difficult.
So let's go through the field momentarily. Farouk Mansar, he is your race leader in the number 58 Alpine Stars machine. Started the race on pole position, pretty much led all of the race except for when he came down pit lane and Arthur Kirk Poulsen led a couple of laps. And the gap between himself and Tapiani coming down into pit lane was about 10 seconds. He built that up to 12 seconds for the signal to pit stop, and then pulled out a further 10 seconds in the second stint. Spino Aliato in the number 7 machine. He has had a steady second position, not really had the car to challenge Farouk Mansar after his early race onslaught, getting himself up from 3rd up into the 2nd position yet again, and then putting pressure on Mansar, but then just didn't manage to get the job done and started falling back from there. He's now sat 23 seconds almost behind Farouk Mansar in the number 58 machine. Dave Geimer. We keep on talking about how good a race Dave Geimer has, but how satisfied will he be with that podium?
I think he'll be really pleased with it. He soaked up quite a lot of pressure, and yeah, he's going to be happy that he's managed to leapfrog everyone and not really. I don't think he's actually done an overtaking move for position on the track. He's done it when everyone went into the pit.
it took you when it went off.
Well, yeah.
UFI, he sat in the 4th position. Again, we haven't talked about him much, but in that 4-5 car battle, he came out in 4th position. So that's going to be good for him. He's currently sat 56 seconds behind the race leader in that number 9 machine, but he is about 2.5 seconds behind Dave Geimer, with ourselves just under 10 minutes left to go here. So it would be difficult for Vi to catch Dave Geimer in the close stage of this race. Terry Dalberg, he has had an interesting day in the number 13 CST Ajara car. Talked about him just a moment ago. He's currently sat in the 6th position, 1 minute 5 seconds almost behind the race leader. And then Van Helsingen, after having a good start to the race, let's not forget, Van Helsingen qualified all the way down in the 8th position, managed to make his way through the field, dropped back, and he is now sat in 6th. Bjarne Matike in 7th after being the last car to pit. In fact, I believe he might have even led a couple of laps or so. Number 34 Glacier Racing car, he's now sat down in the 7th position. With Christian Nielsen currently scored 2 laps down. Issa Ambala in 9th. Arthur Kurt Paulson, he's out of the race in 10th. And then David Ward is in 11th and the final position in the GT1s. Over to the GT2s, and David, no one better today than Eric Verdoff.
Yeah, fantastic. Good driving.
And that green and orange and black and white car, one of the most attractive liveries I think on the racetrack today.
You think? I'm not really into that.
Why not?
It's just not my thing. It's nice, but I think there's other colours out there that are a little bit better.
Okay. Well, if it was pink, I'm sure we'd be saying a different story.
Well, yeah.
Russell Clayson currently sat in the 2nd position in class. The UFI has dropped himself out of the race. Connection issues.
Connection issue?
Connection issues. So after having that strong 4th position, making his way through the field through strategy, his day is done.
Absolutely, he will be gutted.
So that takes pressure off Geimer for pretty much the rest of this race now. He's pretty much guaranteed that 3rd position. What it does do, however, is move up Dalberg into 4th and Helsingen into the 5th spot.
He's going to be absolutely throwing his computer out the bloody window.
To move back to the GT2s momentarily, Russell Clayson sat in the 2nd position. We saw him have a couple of moments early on in this race. He was looking as though he didn't want to give some of the GT1 drivers too much room.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't see them, and you think you've given someone enough room, and because your perspective isn't quite right, you end up squeezing them just a little bit, and you're going to get contact.
And then 3rd, Mr. B, old Toby Bushnell, is sat in the 3rd position in the number 81 Torque Creek Racing machine. He had the moment on lap number 1. He's been able to get himself all the way back up into the 3rd position, and for Torque Creek Racing, that's some good points.
Yeah, he's going to, for his team, they're going to turn over some good points. I'm not sure where they are on the standings because I haven't really got the table to hand, but yeah, we should have a look at that.
They are currently in X position out of Y. There you are. We'll find out. We'll find out for you. Renato is currently sat in 4th position in the number 83 GT2 machine. Just a very calm and pleasant day for him driving around with Ohio. Burton is in 5th. He's retaken that position from William Piner. Who, Piner, as I said the other week, he really is starting to improve in this series. He has been known to not be the fastest driver in the Super Cup, but every week you see he's getting a little bit faster, and great commitment by Piner. And Burton, in fact, for that matter, in the team chart number 05.
Yeah, I mean, he's not too far behind Burton at the moment. Yeah, he's going to finish the race, and that's the first thing that you need to learn. Finish the race, and then you can start picking up your speed and your consistency from there.
the third most famous race in racing, presented by Murray Walker. To finish first you have to finish.
I'm coming out with all of them, mate. I've got them listed here. I'm ticking them off one by one as I go through.
And then Roderick Cronin is currently sat 6th in class. And then Robert Lowry is in 8th. And Yale Batman has kind of corrected us a little bit. He says to finish first, you must first be finished.
I'm not sure that's right.
So we've got ourselves just about 5 minutes left to go here. Round 4 of the TFR Racing Summer Super Cup from Mid-Ohio. Will Vincent and David Ward, your commentators. David Ward was involved in an incident earlier on in the race, so taking over from Yoni, he's having a couple of hours kip before the World 600 later on this evening. And for the closing stages of this race, David, we have to go back to commend Farouk Manzar.
Yeah, Farouk's just once again just showing class. He's not my driver of the race though. That's going to go to Dave Geimer.
Oh, right off there, having to get himself around a couple of cars in difficult situations. I'm saying there's a party going on outside. That's interesting. I might go out and get drunk in a minute. Eric Vadoff is still your leader in the GT2 class. Everyone's kind of like a little bit distracted today. I think we're all slightly tired, aren't we?
Yeah, after doing a lot of time testing and getting the cars right for the Indy 500's really taken its toll, and feel a little bit drained, but I promised that I would do the 600. I would do the TFR SuperCup after the Indy 500, and then I'm going to do the 600. So, yeah.
Roderick Cronin is out of the race. He was sat 7th in class in the 4GT. He has now retired from that 7th position. His day is done. He'll be scored 13 laps behind the race leader. As you see that Eric Verdoff putting a lap on what I believe was Tony Bushnell in the number 31 machine.
This has turned into a bit of a race of attrition by the looks of it.
Yeah. And I tell you what, the first half of these races there at Mid-Ohio always produce some interesting racing, and then as soon as the pit stops are out the way, it's almost time to get some pay out and go and have a siesta.
Yeah, I think it's hard to stay switched on for so long, 45 minutes, then you pit, and then you've got to kind of like pick up that pace again and keep pushing.
So,
you know what, Tero's not too far behind Geimer.
Yeah, 8 seconds in 3 laps, 2 laps. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, you're right. He's just going. Yeah, we'll go get it.
Go back to your box.
Yeah, sorry mate, I'm tired.
Okay, let's sum this up for you. Reset the field with 2 laps left to go here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Farouk Manzar is your race leader. The captain himself, Antipani Leniotto, is 26.4 seconds. Dave Geimer, he's sat in the 3rd position with Terry Dalberg in 4th, Stephen Van Helsing in the 5th spot, Jan Matkeid in 6th, Christy Nilton 8th, Shirafai in 9th. Your retirees, Istvan Balau, Arthur Kirk Paulson and David Ward. I tried to take that back. Istvan Balau is actually still circulating on the racetrack, but he scored a very low 15 laps down. And then, in the GT2 class, sorry about that, I don't know if you heard that, but Eric Vadoff is your race leader, your class leader, with Russell Clayton in 2nd, Tony Bushnell 3rd, Rene Taylor in 4th, Robert Burton in 5th, William Pino in 6th, with Roderick Cronin and Robert Lowry, your retirements. We are going to be getting the white flag this time by, and Farouk Manzar coming for the carousel. He has got himself exactly 1 lap and a corner to go. Let's not forget, we start the race in the back straightaway, we finish it on the front straightaway. White flag in the air. Farouk Manzar has 2.25 miles left to go here.
Yeah, Farouk's pretty much gonna just need to bring it home. Don't make any stupid mistakes. Yeah, good drive from him, good solid drive. I don't think he really got pressured by anyone at the beginning.
They had couple of laps with Tapana Leniota managed to close the gap down from about 3 seconds down to under a second, right up to that rear spoiler off that number 58 Alpine Stars machine. But then it looks as though Leniota used too much too early in that race, faded back, and just hasn't been a factor in the second stage of this race. He will, however, likely come home a solid second position. Frédéric Manzard putting a lap down on the inside layer. Yes, he does, on Harry Dalberg. So only 3 drivers are going to finish on the lead lap here. Staggering.
Yeah, you can see that Farouk's just set a monstrous pace here to basically break everyone.
So into turn number 10 and 11, into the carousel for the final time. He has got himself 1 corner left to go. That left-hand flick for turn number 13, and Frédéric Manzard has got himself 1 more lap. No, he's won. He's done. Sorry. He wins.
That's it. Well done.
So congratulations to Frédéric Manzard. Tapana Leniota is in the second position, with Dave Guyman in the third spot, Terry Dalberg in fourth, and Steven Van Helsingen in fifth. Apologies there for our sound video syncing. That is completely my fault, and I will now go and hit my head against the wall.
Don't do too much damage, but we have the 600 to commentate on.
Yeah, I'll do it after. So what we'll do is we'll have to be slightly quick here. Your GT1 final race results, we're going to go through those in just a couple of moments' time. However, Frédéric Manzard, a dominant victory here today in the GT1s. Eric Verdorf, pretty much the same in the GT2s. David Ward, driver of the day. And no, you're not allowed to talk about yourself.
Dave Guymer, without shadow of a doubt, just because of the way he's managed to come up through the grid from where he started, just an intelligent drive.
And very quickly, we never asked you, that dirty air syndrome when you're in that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th battle, how bad was it?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I hadn't really had much practice in the car because we've been working on the IndyCar setup, so literally as soon as that race had finished, jumped into the Corvette and had to like kind of readapt myself to driving the Corvette again. Quite difficult because I haven't turned a wheel for quite some time. So yeah, next week I'll put a bit more practice in, and yeah, we'll be okay.
Liar. Frédéric Manzard to run through your final race results. First of all, in the Corvette class, Frédéric Manzard, your race winner, the gap between himself and final Leniota, 25.573 seconds. Dave Guyman, the third and final person to finish on the lead lap. A great drive by him. 1 minute 8 behind the race leader. Then Tyler Dalberg in fourth. Steven Van Helsingen in the fifth spot. Jan Matikayan in sixth. Christian Nielsen in seventh. Jurfai, after being so well and being classified almost to a fourth place finish, losing his connection, dropping him down into eighth. And then Ismail Bano after Kurt Poulsen. David Ward, and then into the GT2 class, we have got ourselves the race winner of Eric Verdorf, from Russell Clayton in second, Toby Bushell in third, René Tenney in fourth, Robert Burton in the fifth spot, William Piner in sixth, Philip Croonan in seventh, and then Robert Lowry finally in eighth. And we are going to have to do the quickest post-race interviews ever. So, hello Frédéric Manzard, how was your race?
It's pretty good. Uneventful after the first couple of laps, after I made that incident on turn 1, where I almost put it on the wall. But after that, I settled in, and I just started putting down fast laps, and that's it.
And it looked as though for a portion of time, Tapana Leniota was catching you, and then you just managed to eke out that gap. How hard was it to do so, though?
I don't really remember that, but I saw Tapani pit or just disappear from my relative box, so that's when I decided to pit. And after the pits, the gap, I think I gained the gap in the pits mostly. Tapani had great pace today, pretty similar to mine. This time I actually practiced my pit stop as opposed to Road America.
And we talked about this a bit on the broadcast today. been a big transformation in your driving since this time last season. Is there any particular factor you can attribute that to, or is it just driver development?
Well, I just finished my first year at university, so I got nothing to do all summer. I got a lot more time to practice. Probably that's the reason.
And Spa next week, is it going to be a good one?
I love Spa, but it's just one of those tracks that doesn't agree with me. I could put down 1 or 2 fast laps, but I'm just really inconsistent there. So I'm just hoping for a good finish.
He says that, and he'll win the race by 2 minutes next week. Congratulations, Fruit Manzar, on your race victory. Who else have we got here? And we have, I can see, Tabana Leliotto, 2nd place. Well done.
Yeah, quite right. The margins of error were really small in the car, and I was all over the place really. No rear grip whatsoever.
And you didn't have your Glacier teammates out helping you today as much as we have seen previously. You lost position at the start, managed to get yourself back into 2nd. Was there anything you could do to try and close that gap to Farouk?
Well, he made the mistake at turn 1, but unfortunately I wasn't close enough to capitalize on that. After that, I'm not sure if I could have done anything. My lap times were all over the place, and I was losing on the pace.
And Spa next week, is it a track that you're going to shine at?
Yeah, I think Spa will be better for me. I had a lot of trouble getting the car right here, and I couldn't get it right really.
Well, we'll see you next week at Spa-Francorchamps. Moving on, Tara Delberg, you came home in the 4th position after what is a pretty crazy race in that GT1 midfield.
Yeah. At first, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. I was sure. Yeah, it was really tough, and I was kind of winging the whole race, so really happy to get 4th.
And next week at Spa, as I'm getting the hurry-ups from behind me, next week at Spa, are you going to be looking forward to that race?
Yeah, it's going to be mixed emotions. Kind of like it, kind of hate it. Let's see how it goes.
And I was going to move over to Toby Bushnell, but it's disappeared. Gizmo, who are you?
Dave Geimer.
Ah, Mr. Dave Geimer, you came home 3rd. Well done.
Thank you. I was not expecting that, I have to say.
And I have to say that you really did work the strategy to your advantage in that race. Talk us through how you did it.
Yeah, well, I got stuck in a big train at the start, and the 3 or 4 cars ahead of me were a bit slower than I was expecting. I was kind of expecting them to just pull away. David had a moment and slipped behind me. When I ended up stuck behind Juha again, and as his tyres wore, he got slower and slower. As soon as I was confident I could get to the end on a full tank, I dived straight into the pits. That was great, except that David followed me straight in, so I knew I was going to have him on my tail as I came out. But came out, got stuck behind Jarno for a few laps, managed to get past him. David had another moment and kind of dropped back a bit further. And after that, to my surprise, I was several seconds ahead of everyone I'd been behind before that stop, and it was just really a matter of keeping it safe to the end. And unfortunately for Juha, he had a disco as he was reeling me in towards the end, but I was really quite surprised.
Yeah, you've done a good drive, mate. Well impressed.
And you're the driver of the race. Well done.
Oh, thank you.
So moving on to Spa-Francorchamps next week, the Team Shark boys are going to be out in force and doing well there?
Well, I hopefully we'll be out in force. I can't guarantee we'll be doing well. It's a track I probably don't get on with as well as Mid-Ohio, but it flows quite nicely. I usually quite enjoy racing there, so we'll see how we get on.
Well, great drive there by Team Shark, really proving themselves as some pretty awesome competition in the GT1 field. That is all we have time for today. We're really sorry we had to go off there early, but it's one of those days where we're up all night doing so many different types of things, we don't know what we're doing next. But we have the World 600 The World 600 is one of the World Tour events on iRacing, which is always exclusively on Glacier TV, unless they decide to take away coverage and put it on PSR for the Indy 500. We won't talk about that. That will be coming to you in just a couple of hours' time. To check out all the details for that on iRacing.com. The race, I believe, starts at 10 p.m. GMT, so we're going to be back for that one out in 600 miles of Charlotte. Meanwhile, the Talk Creek Racing Touring Car Championship next week will be coming to you from the Spa-Francorchamps on Tuesday, followed by the iRacing Skip Barber Premier School on Wednesday from Okayama. We have the Talk Creek Racing Touring, the Talk Creek Racing Summer Super Cup on Saturday, again from Spa-Francorchamps, and the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series. And then on Sunday next week, the Aspen IndyCar Series returns with round number 13 from Chicagoland Speedway. Meanwhile, all it is to say, a bientôt, and we'll see you in a couple of hours. Bye-bye.
Here they come to the start-finish line again.